Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, some people find a way to win, others find a way to lose. Some people just find a way to lose and find a way to lose. You know, man, Big GWOAT, one of the most accomplished boxers, we know that. But man, you know what, man? Some boxing fans admire her accomplishments, but they criticize her approach. But I've been talking a lot about public perception. Look how that's affected her career. Look how her brand's been damaged. Social media can really do a lot for a fighter's brand, for anyone's brand, but it can also damage it. But achievements have been overshadowed. And now you got observers sitting back, fans, casuals, trying to interpret what the hell's going on with Claressa and her team. And a lot of people have an opinion about how she's embraced the villain persona. But we need to understand how that villain persona, more often than not, it hurts athletes. But we also need to try to understand history, what it teaches us about sports, and the stars of those sports who became polarizing figures. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, some people think Claressa Shields is misunderstood. Is she misunderstood? I'll say, I think this. Her public image has become her biggest opponent. Now, why do some athletes become polarizing? Now, we already know this. I listen to the ladies, we all agree on this. Greatness doesn't equal popularity. You don't automatically become popular, or become liked, or become desirable just because the way you perform as an athlete is great. You see, that's a big mistake that people make, is when they start to assume things. They start with these assumptions. Talent and popularity are not the same thing. There are a lot of athletes in history that were dominant, accomplished, historically significant, but were unpopular with large portions of fans. You know why? Because fans, they don't solely judge athletes on performance. They look at the things that we talk about on the channel, how you treat others, how you communicate, sportsmanship, humility. And you know the number one thing that we talk about over here is attitude. You see, an athlete can be respected and disliked simultaneously. You know, I learned that. I remember, man, having guys who are in certain positions. And, you know, I had a mentor of mine, because I used to be, if I don't like you, I don't mess with you. And I'd be like, yo, how you talk to that dude? He like, I don't like him, but I respect the position. He was like, there's a difference. You need to learn that. You know, the position, not the individual. And I was like, okay. So you respect the position, but simultaneously you dislike the person who's in that position. And to me, that's the ultimate, when you can function that way. It's not easy to do, but with work, you can get there. Now, when it comes to Big GWOAT, a lot of people are struggling with her public persona. You know, it's not about accomplishments. Nobody cares. They're just looking at this self-promotion style that she's been doing with Papoose there. And the boxing world is just tired. And it's sad to see where boxing world has turned away from her, and the hip-hop world, they ain't buying this shit. You out here having conflicts with all the wrong people. Now just look at Katie Taylor. Imagine if she had a good relationship with Katie Taylor. With Katie Taylor retiring, her fighting in Croke Park in Ireland, and her retirement fight, just imagine if Claressa had built a good relationship with her. Maybe Claressa could have humbled herself if she had a good attitude and would have been on the undercard out there. 80-something thousand people in that damn stadium. She could have probably fought as a co-main to Katie Taylor's retirement fight. But she's too busy talking about Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgardner. If y'all want to be the GWOAT, you come fight me. Yeah. Man, please. Look at what Katie Taylor about to do. I'm telling you, this conflict with other athletes is wild, man. Look at Amanda Serrano, the position she's in. She about to retire. She'll probably take one more fight. But the bottom line, look at the position she's in over there with MVP and what she's about to go on to do. Look at what Jake Paul and MVP are doing. Look at what everyone's doing in boxing. Promoters, fighters. What's Claressa doing? Just repeated conflict. That's it. And Papoose has everything to do with it. You see, from a behavioral perspective, there's a pattern that's been created. That's why the boxing community is turning away, and the hip-hop community, they ain't buying the bullshit. You see, once fans begin associating a person with controversy, every future controversy reinforces that image. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. People begin noticing evidence that supports the image they already have. And that's why it's cool to learn about these things and talk about shit like the villain effect. Sports frequently create heroes and villains. Sometimes athletes intentionally embrace that role. And we all know why. We talk about it. Villains generate attention, headlines, engagement, emotional reactions. Now, fans may dislike the villain, but they still tune in. And this has worked for numerous athletes and entertainers throughout history. The challenge is that once somebody becomes identified as the villain, changing public perception becomes extremely difficult because, again, it's someone's perception of you. And once they lock in, and you can't change their mind on who and what you are. Just take an actor. Certain roles actors have played. How about the guy, man, who played JJ from Good Times? He will forever be seen as JJ. How about Alfonso Ribeiro, who played Carlton? No matter what role he goes into, he will be Carlton. Or back in the day, the guy who played Eddie Munster. You know what I mean? There are certain roles that people assume are certain characters or whatever it is, man, right? People embrace these roles, but once you become identified as that, it's hard to change public perception. And that's why with Claressa going the villain route, no matter if she comes out and says, oh, it's just a character and it was just an act, it doesn't matter. Look at Floyd Mayweather. To this day, people think Floyd really is just, I mean, he talking shit about his money, but people have a way they look at him and they view him. They look at De La Hoya in a much more positive light than Floyd Mayweather. I don't know about Floyd drinking alcohol. I don't know about him doing drugs. I don't know about him dressing up in those fishnets, black pantyhose. But because De La Hoya, the perception was he was the golden boy, it's hard for people to change their perception to see him as anything other than the golden boy. And Floyd was seen as Money Mayweather, the brash guy who bragged about all his money. I'm rich, y'all don't have nothing, this and that. When in reality, when you really, the two individuals, Floyd is the one that people probably should embrace more than De La Hoya because a lot of shit he does is just the character. De La Hoya really is a guy who was out there doing all the wrong things. But it is what it is. And when they were doing these things, there wasn't a whole lot of social media. Like the social media presence wasn't what it is now. And social media changes everything. You know, social media, man. Before social media, athletes were mostly judged on competition. Today's athletes are judged every single day. You put out a post, people watch it, seeing what you write. You do a live stream, they're watching everything. Shit in the background, what you're wearing, if you wore it 2 days, last week, a month ago, your jewelry, everything. I don't see how people be in people's offices like that. Like a live stream, be all in how they, I don't know if they snapshotting pictures and expanding it and look. Boy, these people, boy, are good on the internet. They'll find some shit out about you, won't they? Listening to your interviews, how you respond to things. The result is that fans often develop stronger opinions about personality than athletic achievement, and this affects reputation. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think the celebrities who are in high visibility relationships and fans don't speculate about them, they're doing something right. They're doing something right. Because to be in a high visibility relationship and for nobody to talk about you, that means you're doing something right. But most of the time when someone's in a high visibility relationship, there's going to be a lot of natural speculation or people observing and asking, who's benefiting? Who's getting the exposure? Who's gaining opportunities? Is the relationship helping or hurting someone's brand? And even I know the reality is that most of us on the outside, we don't know the truth about private relationships. But again, it goes back to what I've been talking about. Public perception often becomes a story of its own. And perception can affect reputation, whether it's accurate or not. That's exactly what's happened to Claressa Shields. The thing is, the shit's very accurate because of the shit that she's done. And even the perception about Papoose is very accurate because he's right there, puppet master pulling strings. And he's right there when all the shit's going down. So he's guilty for sure. He's the brains of the operation. And that's why the public support they once had is eroded. You know, Claressa was able to build support. She really was. She was able to build support. It took time, man. It takes a lot to build support. It's a slow process. But then came the distrust. That formed pretty quickly. And although fans generally forgive losses, setback, injuries, they're less forgiving about behavior they perceive as disrespectful. It's what Claressa chose to do as a villain. Arrogant, which Claressa chose to do as a villain. And unnecessarily confrontational, what Claressa chose to do as a villain. All these things after Papoose got involved. And again, I'm going to tell you, whether you agree or disagree, the reputation becomes a running scoreboard. Every new controversy gets added to the scoreboard. And that's what you're seeing here. But when you have two audiences, like the boxing audience and the hip-hop audience, when they become critical, you got a very difficult situation. And those are the two worlds that she exists in. And now you got a problem. That's a hard situation, man. When you're someone like Claressa and the criticism coming from multiple communities at the same time, all bad. Now in boxing, fans focus on boxing. With hip-hop, people focus on hip-hop. They focus on the music. But see, social media merges audiences. And the fact that she's with Papoose, he's from the hip-hop world. She's trying to do rap. Remy's from their hip-hop world. Those audiences have kind of come together. And a controversy that starts in one community in boxing, it spread to the other one, hip-hop. Now Remy, with what she just dropped the other day, always number one, never number two, told him find something stupid to do, he found you. The amount of people who didn't know anything about Claressa Shields, they've now been introduced to Claressa Shields in the hip-hop world because of that song. French Montana, a guy named Max B, and now Remy. So again, those two communities have come together. And you got more controversy. And the problem for Claressa are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I know she feels like criticism is coming from everywhere at once. Because it is. And the more Remy talks and clowns her, the more the criticism is going to come. So what can Claressa do? I don't know. Their reputation be repaired? I mean, there are athletes who've repaired their damaged images. But some of those common themes include consistency. And I'm not talking about for a day, a week, or for months, for years. It takes years to repair a damaged image. You got to reduce the conflict. Avoid unnecessary public battles. You got to leave that shit alone. You got to have a professional focus, allowing accomplishments to become the story, and accountability. Address the mistakes directly when appropriate. Don't alibi. Take accountability. And make sure you have positive visibility. Create new narratives to try to replace the old ones. It's going to take time. Can it happen? I don't want to be overly pessimistic. Yeah, it could, but do I think it's going to happen? I just say it's going to take a lot. I don't know if it can, but it's going to take a whole lot. So at the end of the day, from a behavioral perspective, the biggest challenge facing any polarizing figure is not the criticism itself. It's becoming trapped in a cycle where every headline reinforces the same narrative. And for athletes like Claressa Shields, the most powerful way to change that narrative is usually not through arguments, feuds, or social media battles. The boxing world is tired. The hip-hop world thrives off of that bullshit. But you gotta stop. You're not going to win. And Papoose has gotta stop. Because to me, they're both losing. Now, if they come out here and get some $10 million deal somewhere, some $100 million deal somewhere, then I'll be like, okay, well, it paid off. But still, it's not going to change the reputation damage. You just made some money. But right now, it doesn't look like those are the opportunities that's on the table. Now, if it is, then, like I always say, y'all know of celebratory moments, share them with us. Because we don't know of any. But you want to change that narrative? Don't do it with the drama. Do it through consistent performance, being professional, right attitude, and give people a new story to talk about. Easier said than done. Because the boxing world ain't feeling Claressa right now. But she's done that. In the hip-hop world, let me tell you something, man. They like Remy. Yeah, and I'll just tell you that. I'm sitting back watching because y'all know I don't be on the internet like that. But I'm paying attention a little bit more now, but I'll just say from me as an observer, they like Remy. They like Remy. They're gravitating towards Remy. She getting more and more support. She got a lot of pull, man. A lot of pull. It's all bad for Papoose and Claressa. And you know what? And I don't ever want to wish bad on nobody. But they need to wake up. Give fans a new story to talk about. Not the same old bullshit. Because they dug this stuff and they're just in this trough. A deep ass trough. And I just don't, it ain't even a trough, it's a canyon. And I just don't see them being able to ascend themselves out of it. Like, I just don't see them being able to climb out of that shit on their own. They're going to need people to help them. Because it's that bad. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.